Welcome. First of all, I'd like to congratulate the three of you for being within our top 10 Federal Engineers of the year 2012, and I think that's a great honor. Before I get into the questions about your engineering experiences and your thoughts about the whole process of engineering and what it brings to society, I want to give you guys an opportunity to introduce yourselves.
Sure. I'm Bruce Siemens, PE. I work with Naval Facilities Atlantic, and I'm a civil engineer.
Hi, I'm Charlotte Armstrong, PE. I work for the U.S. Coast Guard, and I'm a civil engineer.
I'm Lieutenant Colonel Garrett Cottrell, PE, with the U.S. Army Civil Engineer.
Fantastic. Well, again, I think it's been a great honor to have the three of you being willing to sit on this panel with us and share your thoughts about this experience. First, as federal engineers, I'd like to get your insight on our homeland security and how your roles as engineers helps protect our country both here and abroad. So, for example, how important do you feel that engineering is in protecting our national security, and what specific role do you think engineering plays in that role?
You know, if I could start, there's an obvious answer to that question. Is engineering does most of the design for the defenses and offenses that we have together. But another portion of that, I was in Afghanistan for a period of time, and village stabilization was a big thing. And that was getting infrastructure back in, getting people with clean drinking water, having places where you could take your waste. It makes a big difference in the quality of life, and that brings about security.
Yes, it does. Yeah.
I'd just like to follow up with that. I think the role of the engineers in national security, it's a key role. I think it's one of the high priorities. The engineers involved with all aspects of security, national security, from weapons design to force protection to development of logistical bases overseas, force protection for the bases domestic and overseas, developing the weapon systems, the unmanned aerial vehicles, or the new weapon systems for the individual soldier themselves. But to follow up on esteemed colleague talked about experience in Afghanistan, and I think we have a key role, can make a significant difference is when overseas involved with the conflicts, that we can try to positively influence the local populace to win the hearts and minds through development of hospitals, schools, the infrastructure needed to create a stable environment so we can complete our missions, the military can complete their missions in a shorter time span and can return back to the home state.
Fantastic.
And kind of follow up on that, I mean, we talk about national security. One of the aspects of that is protecting our critical infrastructure, so our water, our transportation, our dams. And it's also not against man-made acts, but also natural acts. So you look at, Katrina with the dams falling. You look at Haiti with the earthquakes. I mean, engineers are critical, to making sure that these are hardened, to make sure that these do not collapse in those type of situations.
Yeah, great. With the enormous amount of interest and discussion about the STEM, which stands for the Science, the Technology, Engineering, and Math programs that the NSPE pretty much advocates, what do you think the federal government could or should do to ensure that we get the best and brightest future engineers?
I can start on that. I mean, we got to start young. K through 12 outreach. I know personally myself, I didn't know who an engineer was or what engineering was until middle school when my science teacher put in a tape and said, okay, this is what engineers do. And then follow on even in high school to go even more specific, visiting universities and seeing the engineering program, and that really got those gears started. So outreach young, and then even realize what federal engineers do in the various aspects.
I think NSP does a nice job with the math counts and the other competition that they have in the smaller schools. I think I know it's difficult, money is difficult all over the place, but we got to keep funding these programs. We got to show them that is the interest and that's the place to go. I think sometimes we glorify a lot of other professions, and the engineers not so glorified. And I think we got to show them that a lot of things don't happen unless engineers are a part of it.
Exactly, and taking it a step farther, I think that the federal government, what we can do is, I think the engineers over the last 2 decades have experienced a nice steady increase in income and a positive job market. But I think in the same light, there has been an economical force in regards to from manufacturing, from other corporations supporting the H-1B visas, incorporating, bringing in foreign engineers, mathematicians, and architects, which has, based upon supply and demand, can have a negative impact upon the salaries that the engineers have enjoyed or do enjoy here in the States. We really don't have a problem with educating engineers and generating enough engineers. But I think by H-1 Bravo or H-1B visas can have a negative impact upon the profession and has a potential to have a negative impact on the salaries that engineers do enjoy today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, one of the challenges we always face is filling that pipeline, folks that have to come in behind us and fill our roles, and it continue to advance that science and the engineering. So what advice would you guys give to young students or young engineers who are potentially interested in becoming engineers, specifically in the federal government?
I think the federal government has been a leader in technology, utilizing technology, incorporating technology or new practices. For a young engineer, somebody that's engineering training, seek out an agency or government agency that supports internships. That gives an opportunity to get a taste of engineering and have a mentor to try mentor them through the process. And it's a unique experience through the internship.
Right.
Yeah, I think they really, if you want to see a lot of things, a lot of larger projects, be a part of some of the breaking things that are happening today, the federal engineer is really the place to find that. Now there's lots of different avenues that they can go down, and as he was bringing up, it's great when you're an intern to be able to get into some of these and see if that strikes your interest or strikes your fancy. But if you think that you want to be a part of something big, I think the federal government's a great place to start.
Mm-hmm. The other thing too, which I didn't have as far as my generation or today, was the internet. And the fact that now you can go online and you can do your research from the comfort of your home. I know when I was first interested in engineering, I was writing letters and trying to get pamphlets. And so if the federal government can do that type of outreach through, again, the internet or directly to the universities to look at all these great opportunities that you can do at such, even at a young age, especially the military,
Mm-hmm.
Those opportunities are amazing, and just getting that message out there.
So what was it in each of you which caused you guys to say, hey, I'd want to be an engineer? Why did you pursue this particular field?
For myself, through high school, through undergrad, through grade school and high school, I found math and science to be relatively easily. And I've enjoyed it. I like having a problem, taking a problem, trying to find a solution. For engineers, there's usually, we see one or two solutions to every problem. And it's very black and white. It's easy to work within that framework. So with that experience, I was going to go into the Air Force. I was going to be an astronaut. This is back in the 80s when the astronaut program was really on an explosion process, so to speak, growing. But at the time, the Air Force and I didn't work out too well, so I went to the Army side, and it's the best choice I ever made. And I got into civil engineering, and it's been a great experience. As you mentioned, the federal government, the military provides great opportunities at a very young age. It gives you opportunity to develop the experience and the skill sets that you need and learn from that.
Can you expand on that and kind of let us know what your insights are, why you chose to pursue licensure?
I found that my focus was on construction engineering and management. I knew that to bring some credibility to the room, so to speak, the boardroom, the project room, when I sat down with the designers and when I sat down with contractors and so forth, I need to bring some credibility with myself. I knew that the PE license was an excellent opportunity. It's, you've already established, everybody understands what the PE is, being a professional engineer, and you demonstrated that you've got a good understanding of the engineering principles required to meet the mission. And it's for that reason I sought the PE license, and thank goodness it was one time for the test and that was it.
Yeah, that's great. That's
Exactly.
great.
For me, it wasn't an option. I mean, you have to get your PE. If you're going to be a professional engineer, you get your PE license. Our junior year, our second semester, we started to do professional development classes, and we have consultants come in, and they literally handed us the application for the FE exam and said, you are going to sign up for this. It's also that level of respect. I mean, if you go through, you get that bachelor's degree or that master's degree. If you have those PE after your name, it shows, hey, you pass the same, you have that experience, you have that education, and it's like being a medical doctor or a lawyer without, you pass the bar, you're a JD or an MD, so it's the same thing.
Right. And I think not only that, but it supports the profession. The continuing education part of it keeps us on top of the game. It supports what we're trying to do as far as building up, as you brought up, the credibility, and as she said, a lot of places where I had worked, it was required.
Mm-hmm.
You don't put plans together unless you have a license, and so it's.
So you mentioned in one of your responses earlier how important that the internet now is available for the youth, which could make engineering more open to them to pursue. In the next 10 or say 25 years, what do you think the next leap in technology that engineers can have a role in to further enhance the engineering profession?
For me, because I have gotten into the energy engineering field, so I mean, you hear that buzzword a lot about sustainability, sustainable buildings, net zero buildings, so self-sufficient buildings that were not impacting the footprint of the environment. There's a lot of federal directives going on, and as federal engineers, we're really leading the way by example to do these. So I really see in the next 20, 30 years, we're going to see a lot more of these net zero buildings. You're seeing them already, but even more so, it's going to become common practice that you're going to see more renewable energy. You're going to see more efficient design, and the technology is going to continually improve as time goes on.
I think a lot of this, because of the energy that we're working with now, is not necessarily as straightforward and on demand, if that's a proper way to put it, reliable. Mm-hmm. I think battery technology is going to have to make a big leap, and I think we're finally getting that way. We've had batteries where if you get too much of those, you've got another thing that you've got to deal with as a waste product. And so we've got to make those breakthroughs, something that not only can hold energy, can hold it very quickly and put it out as demand is required. So then you're looking at a smart system. You're looking at a system that is managed probably by computer now, that we have a computer available to be able to do that type of stuff. So again, I agree. I think energy, hands down, is the place where we've really got to be looking.
Okay.
I think it's going to be for engineers. Just try to think back 15, 25 years ago, what we had then and the advances have been made to date. And trying to imagine where we're going to be at 15, 25 years from now, it's very difficult. Technology is advancing so fast that it's unimaginable, I think, to try to project where we're going to be at 15, 25 years. With that being said, I think there's an excellent opportunity in regards to national security is looking for self-sufficient energy program. I think that's achievable in the next 15 to 25 years. In fact, based upon the technologies that we can't even imagine what's forthcoming. I think our only limiting factor is our limit on imagination. I think with today's kids growing up through the system, I think that we're going to see advances that we can never imagine today what we're going to be dealing with in 15 to 25 years. When I was in undergrad trying to figure out that we see internet or the advances in the computer technology that we have today is unimaginable then, and that's going to be the same situation we have today.
Well, I wanted to follow up with the comment you made in a previous response about the imagination and how important that is with regard to where our future is and how limitless it can be for us in the engineering profession. I wanted to ask each of you, before we complete this interview, to give me what your one word might be with regard to the pursuit of engineering for the youth out there. Bruce, we could start with you.
Sure. Perseverance. The ability to persevere with your ideas, to persevere through tough things, through things that may block you. I think that's it. Perseverance.
Perseverance.
Communication, kind of going off that what you just said, both written and orally, working well with others, being able to communicate your ideas, being able to work well with others.
I'd have to say challenge. Challenge yourself and challenge the limitations of an imagination. I think that's what's going to lead us into the future on the technology advances and so forth for engineering.
Fantastic. Well, I definitely think that the pursuit of perseverance, the communication, and the challenges out there, you guys have certainly made a success of that by making the top 10 in our 2012 Federal Engineer Panel. I want to thank you again for agreeing to share this experience and your thoughts about the engineering profession with the audience.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.